The Steadicam is a camera stabilization tool that helps to overcome the problems of handheld recording. It allows for a very smooth shot and, even at high speeds, reduces any unwanted camera movements. It also eliminates the need for a track or dolly, giving the operator much more freedom for a moving shot. Today we are going to go through how to properly balance and use a Steadicam. In the pilot case, we will find all of the pieces that make up the Steadicam rig. The vest, the sled, made up of the main post, gimbal, battery pack, monitor, and mounting plate, both sections of the arm, the docking bracket, and accessories which include 2 camera mounting screws, BNC to RCA adapters, an Allen wrench, and 8 counterweights. We will also need a C-stand in order to dock and balance the Steadicam. You can watch the video in the description if you want to know more about how to assemble and use one. We can start by attaching the docking bracket to the C-stand. This is where we will keep the sled when we are not using it. Use the release pin in order to secure the sled. Make sure to keep the sled hanging above the longest leg of the C-stand. Unscrew and detach the mounting plate from the sled. Before we mount the camera onto the mounting plate, we have to find its center of gravity. Take a cylindrical object and balance the camera on top of it. Make sure that the camera has all of the attachments you need, as adding weight will shift the center of gravity. Shift the camera forward and backward until it sits on top of the object without falling to either side. Once you have found the camera's center of gravity, we can attach the mounting plate. Shift the mounting plate so its center sits about 1/2 inch in front of the camera's center of gravity. Make sure the camera is secure. Attach the camera and the mounting plate back onto the sled. It is important that the camera is secure so that it doesn't fall off the sled while we balance it. We can now move the sled onto the balancing stud. It's a good idea to use the other hole of the mounting bracket when you are using the balancing stud. This will prevent the battery or monitor from hitting into the C-stand. Attach the handle of the sled to the balancing stud on the mounting bracket. Extend the main post to compensate for the weight of the camera. It is better to have a longer post for heavier cameras, like the FS700. Next, we will find the center of gravity for the entire sled. Unscrew the gimbal so that the sled can slide freely. Once the sled is balanced, slide the sled so that the camera is about 1/2 inch closer to the gimbal. This will ensure that the sled is bottom heavy and the camera will remain upright. We can shift the center of gravity so that the sled becomes bottom heavy. This will put the Steadicam in low mode, allowing for shots closer to the ground. But before we can do anything like that, we still have to finish balancing the Steadicam. With the camera upright, let's adjust the drop time. We can adjust the drop time of the camera by moving the gimbal closer or farther away from the center of gravity. We want the sled to go from horizontal to vertical in about 2 seconds, which will prevent the camera from swaying too much when we stop short. Next, we have to find static balance. This means that when the sled is left untouched, it will be in a perfectly upright position, where the camera is not leaning forward or backward or sideways. We can achieve this by adjusting the position of the battery pack and monitor, as well as using the fine adjustment knobs near the top of the sled. Use the knob behind the camera to adjust the forward and backward position of the stage. Use the knob to the left of the camera to adjust the right and left position of the stage. Now we have to find the dynamic equilibrium. This means that when the sled is spun, it will spin in the vertical position and should not wobble or sway. This is the most difficult part of the setup because of all the fine-tuned adjustments that have to be made. Hold the sled horizontally and drop it. Watch for which object leads during the swing. Then try bringing that object closer to the main post. Or add weights to the end of the bottom post or end of the stage near the camera. This part of the setup relies on trial and error. Keep in mind that every time we make an adjustment, the static balance is thrown off. we will have to recalibrate it after every adjustment. Once we have achieved static balance and dynamic equilibrium, the sled will be in perfect balance. Now we are ready to assemble the rest of the Steadicam. Let's start with the arm. Align the two hinges and join them using the release pin. Next, put on the vest. We can adjust the height of the waist pad by unscrewing the 4 screws above it. The waist pad should be secured on top of the hips. Attach the chest plate to the shoulder strap. Finally, secure the chest strap. The Steadicam vest should be tight across your body, as it will need to support the arm and sled. Attach the arm to the vest by inserting the socket into the socket block on the vest. We can then tighten the screws. Before we pick up the sled, let's take it from the balancing stud and put it back onto the docking bracket. Attach the sled onto the arm using the gimbal handle. We can adjust the angle of the arm using the dial near the socket block. We can also adjust the lift of the arm using the screws near the joints. Once we have the angle and lift adjusted, we are now ready to shoot. Use your right hand on the gimbal handle to lift and move the entire rig. Use your left hand on the main post to pan and tilt the camera. This generates a lot of movement, so it is important to be careful with this hand. Almost any other movement made will be absorbed by the arm and gimbal. The Steadicam can help you create very cinematic shots. It emphasizes the depth that is in the objects and the environments around us. Like anything else, it does require practice, but when you get the hang of it, it can be a lot of fun to use. The steps for breaking down each part of the Steadicam run in reverse order of setting them up. Start by docking the Steadicam onto the docking bracket. Remove the arm from the gimbal handle. Detach the arm from the vest. Unstrap and unbuckle the vest. And separate both pieces to the arm. Unscrew the mounting plate and remove it from the sled. Separate the camera from the mounting plate by unscrewing the camera mounting screws. Reattach the mounting plate to the stage and remove the sled from the mounting bracket. Retract the main post so that it will fit into the case. Remove the mounting bracket from the C-stand. That is how to assemble and operate the Steadicam Pilot. For more information on the Steadicam, stop by the Technical Services window or visit our website.